micro purchases every now and then. How about you?
Oh, yeah, I saw that piece. Again, it's what I said. It's the Bloods and the Crips. They're murderers and thieves. How much more proof do people need? And then they throw out these two-bit lines, don't forget to vote, don't forget to vote. Yeah, you know, throw out the bums and bring in the scums. That's all it is.
Exactly.
So listen, they call it a democracy. It's a gang of 535. That's all it is. And they don't represent us. They represent the special interests that give them all that dough, like the $4 billion that went into the charade. Again, I've never watched a campaign, a midterm election, where so many people cared so little. The fraud is in front of all of us. You know, I'm surprised they didn't come out with an ISIS scare, you know, a couple of hours before the election, or the booths opened up, you know?
Right, right.
I was surprised they haven't pulled a fast one to get the people to the polls or throw some fear and hysteria in them.
Well, and you know, the economy took a back seat in this election. Not a lot of people were talking about it, and that's something that's been on my mind. You know, the economy really hasn't recovered from 2008. They keep saying the unemployment's going down, the economy's growing, they're stopping QE. What is the big deal now with stopping QE Infinity that they finally said they're going to put a hold on? Are they even really putting a hold on, or is this just another sham?
You know, there's something very interesting happening with that, by the way. First of all, they're keeping interest rates to record lows. And then when you look at the recovery, and you look at the data, for example, about how many new home buyers there are, the numbers really dropped significantly, and how many new multifamily dwellings are being built is skyrocketing compared to what it used to be. Go back to the QE. Here's a little, you know, we're coming out. I'm going to give you a breaking trend. It's going to be one of our top trends for 2015. I shouldn't do this, but I am.
That's all right. We're all friends here.
It's not capitalism. It's bankism. You look what happened when the Federal Reserve announced last Wednesday they were cutting out, finally, the quantitative easing. Bingo, voila. 2 days later, the Bank of Japan announces that they're going to go into quantitative easing plus. When you compare their GDP to our GDP, it would be the equivalent of the Federal Reserve dumping in $3 trillion. Oh, what a coincidence. It happened right after they announced in the States that they were cutting back their quantitative easing. And then tomorrow, watch what's going to happen over there in Europe, because the ECB, the European Central Bank, is meeting. See if they're going to do anything. This is a central bank takeover. It's not capitalism, it's bankism. You saw it with the too big to fails when they bailed out the banks. Again, they're murderers and thieves, the Republicans and the Democrats. You remember that guy, the U.S. Treasury Secretary under Bush? Was it Henry Paulson? I think he played Frankenstein on the B movies before he got the job at Goldman Sachs. Yeah, that guy who gave us too big to fail. Yeah, you remember the Obama administration that pushed it through. You remember the Clinton guys. Yeah, the other Goldman Sachs guy, Rubin. Yeah, little Robbie Rubin. Yeah, the guy that killed the Glass-Steagall Act so you could give the bankers more freedom to rob from us. The whole game is a banking game. It's in front of everybody's eyes. The Japanese just shoved it to us one more time, and they really stiffed their people over there. But you know those Japanese, man, they don't rebel. You think we got it soft over here where the people don't fight back. Over there, you know, they just keep bowing, man, and taking it. How about another Fukushima for you? So what I'm saying is what the Japanese bank, the Bank of Japan, just did on Friday is a criminal act followed by the criminal act of the takeover of our country by our central bank. That's only propped up the very rich. The numbers are there. Our median household income is below 1999 levels, and that 1% got a lot fatter and richer.
There you go. You said it. We're joined by trends forecaster Gerald Celente. You can read more about him at trendsjournal.com, and we're going to get into his Trends Journal, the latest issue that's come out, in just a second. We've also got playing over here on the sidewall. It looks like Ted Cruz is giving a speech right now, stumping for Greg Abbott. They're bringing out all the stops now in the Republican pageantry. What did you say, Gerald? Politics is show business for what?
Ugly people.
There you go. You said it.
That's all it is.
You got it there. But we are going to, whenever Greg Abbott whenever they bring him out at some point, we are going to go to a little bit of his speech, see what he says, see if he's going to have any meaningful change for us, see if he'll hit hard on immigration, all the illegal immigration that's going on. Is he going to hit hard on the border, closing the border up? Is he going to hit hard on the taxes that they're charging people here? Alex is really up on this franchise tax that they've started laying onto him, and it's really cut into the money that he's made and tried to put in back into this business. He can't put as much in because it's being taxed. So giant corporations around Texas can be brought in and be given free water, free electricity, no property taxes. That's the way they work it here. It's everything is done for these giant corporations so they can bring more people in and start charging taxes on them. I mean, you've seen the way it works, Gerald. Let's go into your Trends Journal Occupy Peace, except we've got a lot of war going on here. I've noticed some really interesting things. You're looking back at Iraq. You've got fears, history repeating itself on page 8. It looks like we've kind of failed in Iraq by going in there and destroying it and then not really rebuilding it. You've got your Rally for Peace coming up at the oldest intersection in America, which we've talked about before. I've actually seen this intersection, seen the buildings. It really does exist, and there you are, a picture of you standing there in it. And then at the very end of the Trends Journal, and people can subscribe to this by going to trendsjournal.com, you've got some history lessons. Look back to see what's ahead. It ain't pretty. No denying what history's trying to teach us. You've got the warrior stage, intellectual stage, merchant stage, and chaos stage, the different stages societies go through as the cycle continues, the cycle of life, basically the way things happen. Where do you want to start in the Trends Journal?
Well, you know, let's look at the wars. It's one failure after another. How many more failures do we have to add up? How many more people have to die? How many more of our soldiers have to come home in a situation where they're committing, what, 22 suicides a day, and our veterans aren't taken care of, sending them into these fruitless wars, built on lies, by the way. And when you go, you know, I'm of the Vietnam era, and I remember the Gulf of Tonkin story that turned out to be a great lie that, what, killed over about 60,000 of our troops.
Yeah, it filled a sports stadium, a modern sports stadium. You could fit the number of men that died, and that doesn't even count the number of Vietnamese that we killed, or the number of guys that came back wounded and totally destroyed with broken limbs, broken heads. I mean, it really did destroy a whole generation of men there. And for what? A lie. It was all based on a lie. The Gulf of Tonkin, look it up. It was a total lie, and it was made up to make this war and escalate it.
Right, and then the Korean War, another losing war before that. And then, of course, you had the Afghan War. We did on the last Trends Journal, the summer edition, we did a piece on George Bush's his 9/11 evening speech and the one several days later. And I wrote that only a madman would speak these words, and only a nation dumbstruck with fear would believe them, and believe they did. There was not one fact in his speech that took us to war against Afghanistan. Not one. And everybody waved those flags and tied yellow ribbons to everything that didn't move. Now we're in the longest war in American history, and for what? A total failure? Oh, not for what? You made the point. Hey, the opium biz is really booming now. It was at zero when the Taliban were there, or near or thereabouts, way below. And let's not forget who created all this. Oh, that peace-loving peanut farmer. Yeah, you remember him, Jimmy Carter. Oh, yeah, that great guy who invented the Mujahideen. Yeah, Mujahideen, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, ISIS. Yeah, one generation after another. Created by Carter, Brzezinski, and all of the other psychopaths and sociopaths that are running the show to beat the Russians. You remember that one. And then, of course, there's the Iraq War, built on lies. Well, let's just call them the facts were wrong. Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction nor ties to Al-Qaeda. But yet we went in anyway, and then they roll out these losers, man, like Cheney and Rumsfeld and Wolfowitz, and they repeat the same stupid lies, and the prostitutes bow down, suck up, and swallow them. The world is better off without Saddam Hussein. Oh, yeah, man, Iraq's a lovely place. It's beautiful. Oh, and let's not forget Libya. Oh, Libya, oh, Libya. Who did that one? The Nobel Peace Prize winner. Yeah, Obama. You remember that humanitarian mission brought to us by Hillary Clinton, Samantha Powers, and Susan Rice, and Barack Obama destabilized the entire area. Yeah. They're telling people now in Benghazi to leave because it's a free-for-all. And it's spreading into Tunisia, into Egypt, into Mali, all over. People are flooding into Europe. You want to talk about an immigration problem? Yeah, thanks to the United States and its NATO flunkies. So every war that they have taken us to has not only caused more disaster, it's drained our treasury.
And that's by design, Gerald. That's totally by design, to get us into these wars, to spread us out, and then we become ripe picking for the bank. The bankers can come in and just do whatever they want to us. And it really is disgusting. It really is disgusting. Now, where do you see, with this new crop of senators and congressmen coming in, it looks like there's going to be a GOP majority, where do you see that, aside from Africa? Do you think we're going to start going into Africa, and especially in West Africa, where we're already established a beachhead thanks to Ebola? Where do you see us going in after this?
Well, what they're going to do, one of the things they're going to do, they'll probably kill that Iran deal that they're trying to do now, that Obama administration is trying to push through. And again, you know, I just want to jump back to something you said about the taxes in Texas. Yeah. And how, you know, they're hurting the little people while the big guys get all the breaks. You saw that guy Obama, that guy, yeah, Obama, no, the other Obama with the L in it. The guy that, you know, from Microsoft bought one of those basketball teams. Yeah, that guy's worth, you know, several $1 billion, like maybe 15. They gave him $1 billion tax break for buying it. And then you pick up the news this week. The guy Malone that owns Liberty Media, name like the huge one. He gets tax breaks all over the place, too. It is a banking takeover. And you're bringing it back when you said, yeah, this is a banking deal, puts us deeper in debt, and then we have to work for the multinationals, and they pay us nothing. So what we're doing with Occupy Peace right here, and you were here from by the way, we own 3 of those buildings on the historic corner. What we're doing is we're going back to the roots of the founding fathers, every one of them, beginning with Washington. A real man, not one of these little boys that can't fight their way out of a paper bag or play a mediocre game of golf and like to play basketball, or over there in England, maybe cricket. This is a real man that fought in the war, Washington. He said in his farewell address, no foreign entanglements. Franklin, no foreign entanglements. Madison, Adams, one after another. And guess what? The world was at war then, too. But they built America. And I'm tired of these people saying, oh, they did this, they were terrible. If you don't like it here, leave. This country became great because of the principles and the Constitution that was developed here that so much of the once free world used to copied as a template for their freedom. Of course,